Here's why Rhaenyra felt betrayed when her sons were mocked as bastards. Imagine this. You are the heir to the Iron Throne, a princess with dragons at your command, a woman whose claim is stronger than most men in Westeros. You have fought for your birthright, for your family, and for your very survival. And yet, the people who should protect your legacy mock your children, taunting them as bastards. For Rhaenyra Targaryen, this wasn't just an insult. It was a betrayal that cut deeper than any sword. Her sons, the next generation of Targaryens, were being disrespected in the very halls where their bloodline should have been honored. And the ones responsible, not foreigners, not strangers, but those who had sworn allegiance to her, the lords of the realm, the court, and even her supposed allies. Today, we're diving into the story behind one of the most personal and devastating betrayals in House of the Dragon. Why Rhaenyra felt utterly betrayed when her sons were mocked as bastards, and how that moment fueled the fires of the Dance of the Dragons. Rhaenyra's position and her struggle. Rhaenyra Targaryen was no ordinary princess. She was the firstborn of King Viserys I and Queen Aemma Arryn, and by law and tradition, she was the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. Yet, from the moment she was named heir, she faced opposition, not because of her capability, but because she was a woman. The Seven Kingdoms had never fully accepted the idea of a ruling queen, and every move she made was scrutinized. Every decision, every marriage, every alliance carried weight beyond what any man in her position would face. And yet, Rhaenyra endured, navigating court politics, dragon riding, and the constant threat of rebellion, all to secure her place and protect her children. Her children were her legacy. Every one of them represented the continuation of House Targaryen, the survival of her claim, and the hope that one day, her bloodline would rule unchallenged. They were more than heirs. They were symbols of her fight, her resilience, and her vision for a future where her gender did not diminish her right to rule. So when those same children were mocked, called bastards, and denied respect, the insult cut through Rhaenyra like wildfire through dry grass. The source of the insults. The taunts didn't come from strangers. They came from the lords of Westeros, men who should have been loyal to the crown and her claim. The Hightowers, the Velaryons, and even some members of her extended family often whispered, plotted, and openly doubted the legitimacy of her sons. It began subtly. Noblemen at court would exchange sidelong glances, drop veiled comments about the parentage of her children, and imply that her sons were not true heirs. The rumors were rooted in jealousy, fear, and old-fashioned misogyny. Westeros had never fully embraced the idea that a woman could produce heirs as legitimate as a man. And so, the moment her sons were born, their legitimacy was questioned, not because of law or blood, but because of politics and prejudice. These insults reached a fever pitch during public gatherings. At feasts, tournaments, and council meetings, Rhaenyra's children were mocked openly. Lords would refer to her sons as bastards, under their breath, laugh at their expense, and question their right to inherit the Iron Throne. And in the eyes of Rhaenyra, this was more than insult, it was betrayal. The emotional toll on Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra had spent her entire life proving her worth. She had faced sexism, political intrigue, and personal loss with remarkable strength. But her children's suffering struck a different chord. Every whispered insult against her sons felt like a reflection on her own claim. If her children were illegitimate in the eyes of the realm, then her right to rule, the very foundation of her life's work, was also questioned. She was not just a mother protecting her children, she was a queen defending the legitimacy of her entire line. And the betrayal was compounded because it wasn't an enemy who spoke these words. It was those who had pledged fealty, who had sworn loyalty to her cause. For Rhaenyra, the mockery of her sons represented a failure of the system she had fought to uphold. If the lords of Westeros could question the legitimacy of her heirs, what hope was there for her reign? The political implications. The mockery of her sons had far-reaching consequences. In Westeros, legitimacy is everything. It determines who can inherit, who can rule, and who can claim loyalty from the lords and knights of the realm. When whispers of illegitimacy spread, they gave her enemies ammunition. Prince Aegon II, backed by the Greens faction led by Queen Alicent Hightower, used these rumors to undermine her claim. Every insult, every joke at court, weakened her position. Rhaenyra understood this better than anyone. The attacks on her children weren't just personal, they were political. They threatened the future of House Targaryen, the continuity of her dynasty, and the stability of the Seven Kingdoms. This was a calculated form of betrayal. By mocking her sons, her enemies aimed to sow doubt, encourage rebellion, and destabilize her reign before it even began. And they succeeded in fueling her fury, her mistrust, and her determination to fight back. Rhaenyra's response: defiance and strategy. Rhaenyra was not a woman to sit idly by while her sons were insulted. She responded with the same fire and cunning that had defined her life. First, she bolstered their position. She ensured that her children were educated, trained in leadership, and prepared for the responsibilities of rulership. Every insult against them became a lesson in resilience. She raised them to be worthy of the throne in every sense, in mind, body, and spirit. Second, she confronted her enemies when necessary. Lords who openly mocked her sons were met with sharp words, public humiliation, or political maneuvering designed to neutralize their influence. Rhaenyra understood that in Westeros, perception is power. If the realm could see her children as strong and legitimate, the whispers of bastardy would hold no weight. And finally, she aligned herself with allies who could protect her family. The Velaryons, her husband Daemon Targaryen, and loyal supporters in King's Landing became her shield. Together, they worked to counteract the slander and build a coalition that could defend the rightful heirs of the Iron Throne. The betrayal felt on a personal level. Despite her strategic responses, the betrayal Rhaenyra felt was deeply personal. She had lost her mother early in life and faced constant doubt about her claim. She had fought to prove herself as a ruler, to earn the respect of the lords and the people. And now, those who should have supported her were attacking the very essence of her legacy, her children. Every insult against her sons was a reminder of her own vulnerability. It reminded her that in Westeros, even the strongest woman could be undermined, even the rightful heir could be challenged, and even her own bloodline could be disrespected. The weight of this betrayal fueled her anger and shaped her approach to the coming civil war. It taught her that mercy and trust were luxuries she could not afford. In a world that questioned her children's legitimacy, she had to fight with all the ferocity of a dragon, or risk losing everything. The role of gender and prejudice. It's important to recognize that the mockery of Rhaenyra's sons was rooted in more than political maneuvering. It was rooted in sexism. The Seven Kingdoms had never fully accepted a ruling queen. The idea that a woman could produce legitimate heirs was inconceivable to many lords and courtiers. They could not reconcile their belief in male dominance with the reality that Rhaenyra's children were as rightful as any Targaryen born to a man. By calling her sons bastards, these nobles were asserting a worldview that denied Rhaenyra's authority and agency. It wasn't just about her children, it was about the fear that a woman could wield power independently. And that fear manifested in cruelty, in mockery, and in betrayal.